On today's episode, Megan and I are going to be rebuilding the grid. And to save you guys some time, you could probably just skip ahead to the end of the episode because every team's driver is me 2 times, and every team principal and marketing head is Megan 2 times.
Yep. Welcome back to Break Check. We are in episode 9, week 2 of no race. Only one more weekend to go before we finally get another race in Azerbaijan. Or is it Azerbaijan?
I
I
think
never
it's
know how to.
Azerbaijan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear it all the ways, so I never really
Yeah, man.
know. But how was your weekend?
Busy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, crazy busy. Megan knows I'm not like I was about to say I'm not the biggest social butterfly, but that's not the case. I'm a very social person, but I definitely am someone who likes their alone time, their personal time, and values that. I like sitting at home. I'm a homebody, but I've been busy all weekend. Saturday we went down to Millennium Park and saw this like orchestra perform. We went and got dinner before. I had an 18-ounce steak. That's a lot of meat.
Big.
It was the
That's a lot
size
of.
of my head.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
Sunday we went to the Bucks' first playoff game. It was
Nice.
super fun. They lost and Giannis got hurt, so I hope he's all right. But he got
No.
hurt like 10 minutes in. He like fell on his back. But yeah, hopefully he's all right. But yeah, very busy weekend. I'm pretty tired this morning. I got my weak cup of coffee trying to get me through Monday morning. How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. My friends Krista and Kyle. Krista went to college with us, but they were in London for the few days, so we went to a Hotspurs game. For any England fans, I'm a Hotspurs fan now.
For any
Um,
England fans, I somehow ended up a Leeds fan. I don't really know when it happened, but that's my club.
I know a lot of Manchester United fans, which the only thing I know about them is that I don't think I like them.
Yeah,
Um, Not sure why. Same with
bad
Chelsea.
color
I've heard,
combination.
yeah, color combos are an
Yeah.
issue, but I can't really speak because I'm a Packers fan, American football, which is literal green and yellow. But we do have a song about us by Lil Wayne, so could be
That's
worse.
fair. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really nice to see them. Was out really late, which I don't usually do, but it was nice to just see some friends from home before I actually go visit home. So
Yeah, that is one thing. We were out late a couple times this weekend, and every time I was like, how do people do this every single weekend? I don't get it.
struggling.
I was like I got home at 1 a.m., which isn't even that late. It's not that late. And I got home and I was like, oh my God, like this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
I know. I woke up on Sunday morning. I always wake up at 7 a.m. no matter what. Woke up Sunday morning. I just like my body just felt physically tired after
Yeah.
like 2 days of being out late. And I think on Saturday I still got home at 9:30, 10 o'clock, but that's the
Oh,
same day as
yeah.
the game. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
a lot. Big weekend. But yeah, no, it was really nice. Now I'm just getting ready to go visit home for a few weeks.
Cool. Yeah. I'm sure I'll see you at some point in that time. So
Yeah.
um do you have any, before we get into our little exercise, our thought experiment of rebuilding the grid, which is what we're doing if you missed the intro? I don't know how you would miss the intro. We're rebuilding the grid today. Megan, do you have anything you want to go over first?
Not too much new news. It's been fairly quiet, although in terms of outside of just the driver's history and everything, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of the Streaming Meals Pit Stop Boys podcast that had came out about a week ago, I think. Their
Mhm.
episode was just super dismissive, not only to fans, it was misogynistic to just women followers. And then it was also just incredibly dismissive to JM, who was involved in a near life threatening crash that also killed another driver in Formula 2 back in 2019. And it took him a significant amount of time to recover. This is his first year actually back in F2, and now,
Yeah.
4 years later. And this is the first year he's actually able to start racing it again, which is a miracle he's even able to do that. So I just think, I know there have been so many other creators who are far more, well versed and have way more of a history and connection to Formula One that have spoken on it. So please go follow all of them. But I just think, after even the episode, I think the week or two prior with Lizzie, who's a Gen Z TikTok F1 content creator.
Yeah.
She's becoming a little bit more known, I guess. Like she's getting more invited more by other teams. She was on the Screaming Meals recently, and the question they had asked her was, "Who was the hottest driver?" And her response was, "Do you ask all of your guests that?" Because it was the only time they've ever asked a guest that question, and of course, it was the first time they had a girl. So it just
Yeah.
that coupled with having the pit stop boys and then not having any statement. I just think it was super disrespectful. And I know a lot of the Pit Stop Boys actually today, we're recording this on Monday, posted their apology. My only comment on it is time is not in your favor when it comes to PR. So waiting this long to say anything is not, it's only hurting your kind of statement because it
Yeah.
makes it less valid. It seems like you're only saying this now because so many people have negatively reviewed your podcast. I just checked on Spotify. You have a 2.3-star rating
Oh,
now. Which is so low. And it's more than just taking accountability. It's actually recognizing the people you were offending, which that statement still didn't completely do. And then in terms of the Screaming Meals, I don't think people are necessarily putting as much blame on them. However, when you're hosting people like that and you're encouraging that behavior, there's this thing of like silence is acceptance. And I think by saying nothing and making no response, no personal statement to how your own beliefs and feelings are towards everything, I think that says a lot as well,
yeah.
especially when you couple it with the way that they handled the Lizzie interview. So I'm surprised that they're not getting more of a. I think some people are coming at them, definitely not as much as the Pits Up Boys. They've been
Yeah.
problematic from the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just a good learning experience more for the Screaming Meals. They're all like younger drivers, like 21, 22. So definitely not well versed in terms of like probably PR and things like
Right.
that. I think if anything, it's more of just a really good learning experience from them.
Yeah. No, very well said. Yeah, you want to see like just more like accountability and just generally like respect. Just
Mhm.
especially in such like a like a hard to get into industry, sport, whatever you want to call
Right.
it. Like we don't need people like punching down at any
Exactly.
point. Yeah. It is kind of like when you said how time's not in your favor with PR. Like I feel like the longer, like even like celebrities, like I feel like the longer someone waits to put out a statement, you're just putting pressure on how good that statement has to be. And then if it's
Hmm.
not that good, like it kind of sounds like this one,
Yeah.
wasn't. It's like, all right, well, what were you doing that whole time?
Yeah, I was like, what are you really waiting for? And even if they were trying to, talk to someone
Yeah.
and get someone to like a curate the statement, right actually before we started recording this podcast, and I can't confirm if this is true or not, but someone did, you can do AI checks on things to see if like something was written
Oh,
by see where this is going. You can see
oh
if something was
no.
written by an AI. And it highlighted the majority of the statement that they posted, and the highlight,
Oh,
whatever was highlighted, was most likely written by AI, which was 90% of it.
you
So
can't put out an apology written by an emotionless being. Oh,
maybe
that's
they are
tough.
just emotionless beings and they just got,
Yeah.
skimmed.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know what's
not.
worse. I don't know what's worse is asking AI for an apology or a algorithm thinking you talk like an AI giving an apology.
It's also just, I mean, their whole statement was, oh, we're learning how, our privilege and things like that. And it's like, I don't know, you seemed pretty well aware of your privilege when you were making the comments that you did in the podcast. So I feel like, I just think it was not tasteful in any
Yeah.
aspect. And the statement and now potentially this AI thing, I don't know, it just didn't really do them well. So not sure what's to come with that. I know there are some teams that won't invite them back anymore.
Yeah.
I hope more teams continue to not, and maybe, look at some smaller content creators who are also
Yeah.
who are probably more well versed and probably know a bit more and can contribute more to your team. But yeah. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, no, well said. Thank you for bringing it up. Do you want to get into rebuilding the grid?
Yeah, how do you want to do this? Do you want to just go through each team, go from like top bottom?
We can go top bottom with current standings.
Okay. Or should we go bottom up? I feel like bottom up is more
Bottom up.
exciting.
Bottom
Bottom
up.
up.
Yeah.
Because mine
Bottom up
switches.
is
Not gonna lie, mine is not the same at the top. So
okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I do want to say I do think so.
Mhm.
Megan and I generally play extremely nice on the podcast, but I know that we have very different opinions on
Yeah.
how we rate drivers and who we think should be on what team. So I'm
Hmm.
actually curious to see
Hmm.
how different this is, because I think if we were not friends, I think we would disagree more
I
on some
completely
of the
agree.
things we talk about here. And
Yeah.
we're willing to hear what the other person has to say every time.
Yeah.
But I do think at its core, we have very different thoughts on the grid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is where it's really gonna come out more so than
Yeah.
ever. Okay, so Haas, maybe let's start with Haas.
Yeah, we'll start with Haas. I have Magnussen
Hmm.
and literally anyone. I
Fair.
want Haas to have like some kind of future.
Mhm.
So literally anyone under the age of 25 is good with me.
Okay, that's fair. I put Kevin Magnussen and Colton Herta, who
Hmm.
is which I think would be the perfect fit. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have the super license points, but as soon as he has super license points, put that man in the second seat of Haas. I think they would
Yeah.
drive well together. I think they would, work really well. Herta's still young enough to learn and develop and stuff with the
Yeah.
car and get him. He should, I think, having a good American driver with more experience in Haas, which is a kind of American car, I think that would be a great fit.
I think we definitely took the same approach to this. Are you
Mhm.
doing like what you would want the grid to be soon in terms of what you think it should, or instead of what you think it should
Yeah.
be right now?
Yeah, so like it's more of like what I would see, maybe not this year, but in the next year. Like if I
Okay,
could build
cool.
my dream teams, although I do bring people back who are probably not realistic. There's only one
Me
person.
too.
Yeah, I was like, it's
Yeah.
probably not realistic, but like if I could just have all my favorite people together, like that would be cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I don't think this will happen, but under Haas, I
yeah.
don't know if he will make it to F1. I don't know if he has like the talent. I know he's in F2 right now,
Mhm.
but I think he only has one podium. I put Arthur Leclerc question mark.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty fun.
Ferrari driver, Academy driver, brother
Yeah.
of F1 heartthrob Charles Leclerc. If he has the chops, I think, which again, I don't know that he does,
Yeah.
but I think if he has it, I mean, that's the logical team for him to step into.
Yeah, I totally agree. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
I did not put him in my selection yet, but I think he just is too, I think he needs like another 2 years.
Yeah, he needs some F2 results, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, how about Alfa Romeo?
So Alfa Romeo, I just went ahead and just said that this is going to be Audi moving forward.
Oh, okay. I
And
do know.
because I believe that's generally what's going to happen, right? Alfa
Yeah,
Romeo
that's
will
true.
become Audi. So I have Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel.
That would be like my dream team.
I thought of you when I put that down in my
Oh.
notes.
Oh man, if I could see those two together, that would be amazing. I really hope they come back. I actually kept it the same because I was looking at it as just like the next current
Okay.
year, next year. So I kept both Valtteri and Joe the same. I like them together. I like the team. I don't see Botas leaving in the next 2 years, so it would be cool to like. And then also with Joe, the only other person I had there that like if it wasn't Joe was Theo Pucher, who's in
Oh, okay.
F2.
Yeah.
He didn't win, I don't think, but he was close. He has a lot of
Yeah.
podiums and wins and stuff like that. So I thought that would be
A lot
another
of
good
super
pair.
license points.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess I looked a bit out in the future for that one. I think it's
Mhm.
kind of inevitable that Audi is coming in to take out
Yeah.
not take out Alfa Romeo. Just they're taking over the team. And I think if it doesn't take too long for Audi to fully take over, yeah, get Seb back in there if he's willing.
I really hope. For maybe Williams. Andrew
Oh, now
Williams.
this is my first. I think this is interesting. So I think Williams is on an upswing, and
Okay.
I think they could be a legitimate midfield team in a couple
Hmm.
years. I have Logan somewhere else, so
You still have Logan?
yeah, I have Logan on the grid. Yeah, I have
Fair
Logan
play.
somewhere else. I think I've said before I would like to see the team grow alongside Albon and Albon
Hmm.
become like a solid, veteran driver under Williams and grow with the team. But they do need a second driver, and as a bad to midfield team, you need to minimize mistakes. I want Valtteri Bottas going there, going back
Oh,
home.
I see. I was wondering where he was going.
Yeah, yeah. I've got both.
Okay.
I want Botas back at Williams with Albon, the nicest
Oh.
driver duo of all time. Like the sweetest group of people. What?
I was my lead for my Williams team was they were going to be the sweetest couple or like the sweetest duo. So that's funny that you said that because it's
Oh
not the
no,
same, but
who
same.
who do you have?
I have Albon and Mick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel like honestly they're all interchangeable. Like
yeah,
Botas, Mick, they're both sweet guys. Both I think should be on the grid. Not like at probably a top team, but definitely in a good midfield team.
yeah. Um, is there anything about the Williams team that would make you want Mick to go there?
Um, it was honestly just looking at the other pairings for the teams that I have. I don't see him with Mercedes, obviously,
No,
or Red Bull and AlphaTauri. Honestly, I don't think Aston Martin is like a healthy team for him to be at.
no.
And then with I was contemplating putting him at Alpine, Williams, or Alfa Romeo, and then I was like, I'll just keep Alfa Romeo the same, and then that's where I put him at
Okay, that's
Williams.
fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, bit of a pigeonhole sort of deal, just
yeah, it was pretty much like.
where he'll end up. I know we've talked about it a little bit this year. I like the direction that Williams is going. They seem to be
Mhm.
functioning like a normal racing team.
Yeah, I'm happy for, I mean, they've really spent years restructuring it slowly their team and building it back up.
Yeah,
So I think you're finally seeing those results this season. So I just hope that continues.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Maybe AlphaTauri.
Sure.
Um,
Alpha, go ahead. You go first.
so mine is a little, so for, okay, hear me out. Liam Lawson, who
Okay.
is in Super Formula right now, and Yuki Tsunoda or Callum Miat, who is a IndyCar driver.
Ooh, that's good. I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's good. Um,
Yeah.
were you about to say something else?
Um, was I? Yes. So, so
You can just plow over me. It's fine.
no, it's fine. No, I was going to say Callum has he was second in F2. I think he was third in Le Mans in
Mhm.
2020 or 2021. And then he's been doing pretty well. I know he had an incident at the last Sunday race. But otherwise, I mean, he's been doing pretty well in IndyCar since he moved. And he used to be an Alfa Romeo reserve driver in 2021.
Oh, cool.
So I didn't see him moving Alpha, especially now that they're becoming Audi, but I feel like he should still be on the grid.
Yeah, no, definitely. AlphaTauri.
Mhm.
If this is my dream grid, they are
Yeah,
not a team. Red Bull does not have a second team.
fair enough.
So I treated them as Andretti. That I would like them to be
Oh,
in place of AlphaTauri. I want Andretti on the grid. A true American team.
yep.
And I was skeptical all of last year,
I
and
see.
he has impressed me a little bit this year.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, he is our best prospect. I think on an Andretti team, I would have Logan Sargent as one of the drivers, and then the second driver, any current American prospect or
Okay.
Yuki if they need to
Oh,
save
yeah.
some
Okay.
time. So yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I like the way you went about this, both with the Alfa Romeo like Audi thing and then this
Yeah.
team, because
Thank you.
Andretti would be, I feel like at this point, especially now that we know that they might be selling that team since that
Yes.
information kind of leaked. It's far more likely for Andretti to just buy that team than for them to actually get in as an 11th team. So I could
Yes.
totally see that happening. And Logan has been doing significantly better than I expected to be, so young and
Yeah.
inexperienced compared to the other drivers.
He is our best option as much as hate it or love it. He's
Yeah.
the best one we have. I mean, Colton's American, but he doesn't have the
Yeah.
super license points. I think Logan's our only option at the moment.
I could honestly see Logan and Daniel as an Andretti team in the future.
I thought
I feel
about that, but I got my top of the field got a little spicy. So Daniel
yeah.
will come into play.
He's coming in mine just in a not what
Yeah.
you'd expect, but we'll see. Okay. Alpine, I'm gonna let you do Alpine first because you're not gonna like mine.
I just said the same. I think they
Oh,
are a
really?
French team with two French
Hmm.
drivers. Both are very good, young enough to build.
Hmm.
I think they just need to. I think they got caught napping a little bit this year, and they like
Hmm.
as an organization just need to step it up a little. But I think the
Yeah.
framework for a good team is there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we'll see a lot more from them, both drivers and just the team in general. I wanted to spice up this next like these last like six teams a lot. So I have I have I already know this is not gonna I have Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez.
That's fine. I thought about putting
Yeah.
Checo there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um.
I was like, they were already paired together before. It didn't work. But I think honestly, they're both really strong drivers. And with the new structure, and now that they're, a little bit older and,
Yeah.
et cetera, I feel like they could actually work really well together if they got along.
Yeah. I actually thought about putting Checo here at Alpine. Both with him and Carlos, I kind of had
Yeah. Hmm.
a little bit of like a because
Hmm.
they are perfect for their roles currently.
Right.
They are great number two drivers,
Hmm.
extremely consistent, but both will probably have the options to go to a midfield team to try and be the number one there.
Yeah.
And I think um Alpine was kind of one that made sense for me for
Hmm.
Checo just because he's been there.
Yeah.
It's not too far down the grid. So yeah, I thought about it, but I think I'm good with Alpine as is.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's fair. And I think too, especially with some of the drama already at Red Bull, I wouldn't be
Yes.
surprised if Sergio starts to consider looking elsewhere to
Yeah.
have like a more number one spot because he can compete.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
don't really let him.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I could totally see that working out. Maybe McLaren next.
Yeah. McLaren, I also kept the same.
Okay, I both drivers are different for me. I have
Oh.
because Pierre Gasly is now out of Alpine, so I put him in McLaren, and then I
Okay.
brought in
Yeah.
Felipe Drugovich.
Interesting. He's somewhere else with me.
Yeah, it probably Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna ask your thought process.
Oh yeah. So with Pierre, I just don't think him and Esteban. I feel like if we're gonna move him elsewhere, that's kind of where Pierre could go. I don't see him going back to like a Red Bull second seat. I know he wants to compete. So and he has enough experience to be a number one driver. So I thought McLaren would be a good place for that if they can get their car figured out.
Yeah,
And if they have a good car, I think he would be a great like role model or like leader for Felipe because
yeah,
he's an incredible driver, one F2. He's the reserve for Aston Martin. And I just think it would be a good place for him to start, in a kind of good midfield car with a guy with a lot of experience. He was, and we saw Pierre in the way he helped Yuki. So I think that would
yeah,
be a great role for him to help another rookie driver.
yeah. Pierre seems like a great guy, great teammate. Very willing to help. Just interesting because him and his current teammate hate each other, and
Yeah,
his current teammate's not looking for guidance. They're just
right.
direct competitors. But no, I think that's good. I think a little bit I left McLaren the same because I just have no gauge on what the next couple years is going to look like for them. Are they
It's
going to
so
be
hard.
back with Alpine? Which if they're
Mhm.
around 4 to 5, Lando will probably stick around. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. So I think I like your answer. I think mine was a bit of a cop out for McLaren.
I mean, that's how I feel about Alfa Romeo now. So,
Okay, all right, that's fair.
let's see. Aston Martin's next.
Okay,
Okay.
I I got a spicy meatball here.
Okay. Have at
Uh,
it.
they are still good, but I think we are starting to see a bit of a fracture, or
Mhm.
like the beginnings of a fracture in the relationship between Lewis Hamilton and George Russell.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, I see where this is going.
Aston Martin seems to be here to
Mhm.
stay. There's not an early season fluke. They have a good car. They are
Yeah.
competing. I expect it to get better down the line.
Mhm.
Mercedes is hell bent on getting Lewis his 8th title, and
Mhm.
George is ready to be a number one. So
Mhm.
George Russell will go to Aston Martin to be the number one driver at the other British team.
Mhm. I have him at Aston
So
Martin too.
you have George at Aston Martin?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've got George at Aston Martin. Number 2 driver, I've got Felipe Drugovich. I think,
Oh, that would be so good too.
yeah, I think that is a team, if the car is
Mhm.
good, ready to compete for a number 1 spot in the constructors. And George, as much as I love Lewis, is probably a future world driver champion at some point or another.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's with Mercedes. I think he has a bit of a heel turn. I think he has a little bit of a bad streak.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel like George Russell, he's one of those drivers where he's like ready. He wants to win. He wants like more of those opportunities. And as long as Lewis is there, he's not going to get it to what he wants or like what he's
Yeah.
expecting. So, for Aston Martin, the other driver I have is Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just,
No.
yeah.
That feels like the Checo role at Red Bull currently that
Right.
he'd probably have for George at Aston
Yep.
Martin. That you know what? That's interesting. We both had George at Aston Martin. I think we both kind of see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Like there have been no signs that they don't get along so far, but it's
Mhm.
starting a little, and it's enough for me to be like,
Yeah, they're both British. They're both gonna be polite and quiet and quaint about it, but I feel like things are starting to slip. And
yes.
as the race, like as the season goes on, I think we can see a little bit more of that tension.
Yeah. I do want to say too, um, you don't win a world driver championship without your team
Yeah,
like prioritizing you a little bit.
right.
So, you got a crazy sunspot
June,
going on right now.
it's a lot, guys.
um, and I think George is ready to compete as a world driver championship driver, but I think Lewis is just a bit equal or faster right now to where Mercedes feels like they can just still keep prioritizing him. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think he'll get tired of it.
Yep, I agree. Sorry, if
No,
anyone
you're
can hear
good.
my table moving.
I think that's your best bet right there.
Okay.
That's your best bet.
Cool. I'm just like leaned up against the wall. Okay. So let's see. Let's do Ferrari next. I have Charles Leclerc still there. I really, 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 really contemplated moving him, but
Oh,
after looking at all my others, I didn't know where. And I'll get into it. I'll say it when we get there, but there's one other place I would put him.
okay.
Um, Otherwise, my second driver for Ferrari is Sebastian Vettel. I want him back.
Oh, now there's something.
I really liked them together at Ferrari, and I think that having Vettel back, like that would be such a fun time again
Yeah.
with like the new team structure and everything. I think it would
Yes.
go a lot better.
Do you think Seb would come back to be a number 2 driver?
No, I feel like if anything, he'll come back at number one at Alpha when they become
Okay.
Audi. That's way
Okay.
more realistic.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Ferrari thought about moving both drivers,
Hmm.
but they're just so stuck in their ways. I think they stay the same.
Okay, that's fair. I
Yeah.
could see that for like in the next at least like 2 years, to be honest, 3 years maybe.
Yeah, and like Leclerc, I know will threaten to leave, I'm sure. He
Yeah,
already has a little bit like the planted the seeds.
yeah.
I think he's a Ferrari lifer. I think You know, I think he'll just be there his whole career, up or down, middle, anywhere in between.
Honestly. Yeah, the only other place I considered putting him was at Mercedes, but that's where I put Lando Norris in replace
Mm,
of George Russell.
okay. That's
That's
interesting.
a thing, which
So
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
really.
yeah. We could do Mercedes. That's interesting because Lewis and Lando seem to be friends.
Yes. He really, yeah, I think they get on really well. Lewis Lando's also friends with Max, but I would never put those two together. I do not think they would work well
No,
together.
I don't think so either.
And I think it would be, I also put if Lewis Hamilton did retire, like in the future, like in the next year or two, Lando and George Russell would actually do really, really well together. I think
Yeah.
they would also let them start even and then go from there. I think the team would just kind of go like let
Yeah.
them kind of see because Lando hasn't really had he was doing so well when Mercedes or when McLaren had a good car. But
Right,
now that
right.
it's hard for him to get there, and I think we're not seeing everything that Lando can do. And he's doing a lot with the truck he has, but it would be cool to see what he could do in something that's a little bit more competitive.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Um, Mercedes, I
Mm-hmm.
have Lewis
Mm-hmm.
still going for his eighth, and
Yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo is my second driver.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah, Lewis and Daniel also
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Uh, the Mercedes second seat
Mm-hmm.
is what Daniel wanted when he originally left Red Bull.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think George moves on. You know, he has his bad
Mm-hmm.
break from Lewis and the team. They need a veteran driver to hold down the second seat while they, ramp up for another title defense. Who better than Daniel Ricciardo?
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing to have those two together and just
Hmm.
staying on the grid. But I think those two in total wolves, like what a trio to have as a
Yeah.
team. Yeah.
I don't know if a driver has ever been linked to a team more without ever driving for them than Daniel Ricciardo and Mercedes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Last team, Red Bull Racing. So naturally Max Verstappen. I didn't think that was going anywhere, but I put Carlos Sainz as the second driver there.
Oh, okay. A little bit of a homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kept them the same. A little bit of a cop out, but I think I think Carlos would be interesting there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I think if it's like in a few years, I think he still kind of fills that same like Checo role.
Yeah.
You know, good second driver will win some races, won't actually threaten Max, you know?
Right. 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 Exactly. I feel like
Yeah.
he does that role so well at Ferrari that I don't see him actually needing to leave anytime soon. But I
Hmm.
think if they um as a team they decide they wanted to bring like a rookie on or something else,
Yeah.
like I think if his role at Ferrari gets threatened, he would be a great contender for that second Red Bull seat because it's
Now let's pump the brakes here. Carlos Sainz is on track to be 2 for 3 against Charles Leclerc in his seasons
Ooh.
at Ferrari.
Fair, fair,
I'm
fair,
just
fair.
messing with you,
I mean,
but this is
but I
Ferrari
mean,
number one driver Carlos Sainz currently.
hopefully Cheryl doesn't hear that and get too upset.
What's he got right now? 6 points.
Oh my god, yeah. The tears that I would have if I was that man, I feel
Oh
so bad.
yeah, yeah. Ferrari. Or what Ferrari? We already talked about Ferrari. Yeah, Red Bull. Red Bull. I kept the same. I think they might win like the next two of everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. This was interesting.
This was good. This
Yeah.
was really fun. It wasn't as bad as I anticipated it being. I think I agreed with a lot of what your thoughts were.
Um,
Honestly.
yeah, no, yeah, I agree too. I I do want to say I now understand how Nick DeVries went so long without getting into F1 because we just forgot him like it was nothing.
I know. Well, and I know. I think I'm realizing now. Neither of us had Alonso or Alonso on our teams. We didn't have.
Retirement.
Yeah, retired. that man's goodbye. Like
Yeah.
enjoy your life. Stroll, that's self-explanatory. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'll not hit something this next race, but we'll see.
We don't have a race coming up this weekend.
No, we don't. Next one's not for 2 more weeks, so we can't do I feel like it's too soon for predictions.
It is. Yeah.
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 But
Yeah, this was fun.
yeah, this was cool. Highly recommend sharing this with your friends, following us on social media. We have a YouTube, so you can see me moving my camera around this entire episode. You can check out our TikToks. We post there. We post clips on Instagram. We might go back on Twitter. We have an account, so feel free to read our old tweets. Maybe if it gets a little bit nicer, I'll like mentally go back in. But
Yeah.
right now I'm just staying up. But we have one, Break Check F1, so check it out.
Before we leave, I do want to say one thing. It reminded me because you were moving around your camera. When I was editing last week, like clips for social media and stuff like that, I have a habit of I move around the camera. So when I do the crop settings, Megan is always dead center, but I'm in a rolly chair. And this last week, I was literally just like, I could not catch myself in the middle at any moment. I don't know what is wrong with me.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, like Megan said, Break Check F1, all socials. See you soon.